The morning sky above Viridian Prime burned red with the smoke of dying cities. Elder Kale Thylos stood at the window of the planet's main communication center, watching enemy ships streak through the clouds like metal daggers. Each ship carried death and destruction to his peaceful world. The Krex Empire had arrived 3 days ago without warning. Their massive warships blocked out the sun as they descended from space. The first attack came at dawn, targeting the planet's defense stations. Viridian Prime had few weapons, only basic shields meant to stop asteroids and space debris. The Krex ships tore through these defenses like paper. Dr. Nira Voss rushed into the room, her usually neat fur matted with dust and worry. Elder, the southern continent has fallen completely. The Krex are taking prisoners by the thousands. Her voice shook as she spoke. They're loading our people onto transport ships. Kyle closed his eyes. His people, the Thylorians, had built their civilization on peace and growth. They grew food that could feed dozens of worlds. Their farms stretched across continents. Their cities were gardens of living art. They had never hurt anyone, never threatened any world. Yet the Krex had come anyway. How many communication arrays do we still have? Kale asked. Only this one, Elder. The Krex destroyed all the others. Nira's ears flattened against her head. This building is hidden underground. They haven't found us yet, but they will soon. Through the thick walls, they could hear the distant sound of explosions. The Krex were systematic in their destruction. They bombed military targets first, then government buildings, then anything that looked important. Soon they would search every building, every cave, every hiding place. Kale had led his people for 40 years. He had seen droughts and storms, sickness and accidents, but he had never seen evil like this. The Krex didn't just conquer worlds, they broke them. They took the strongest people as slaves, killed those who resisted, and left the rest to starve. Elder, Nira said softly, the long-range transmitter is still working. We could send a message to the Galactic Council. The Council won't help us, Kale replied. They're afraid of the Krex too. Remember what happened to the Zilani homeworld. The Council condemned the attack but did nothing to stop it. Then what do we do? Kale turned from the window. His old face was lined with grief, but his eyes still held determination. We send a message to everyone. Not just the Council, but every world, every species, every ship that might be listening. Nira's eyes widened. A general distress call? Elder, that could reach hundreds of worlds. Most will ignore it, and some might even tell the Krex where we are. Then we will die knowing we tried everything. Kale moved to the massive communication console that filled half the room. Help me power up the main transmitter. They worked together, their hands moving over controls they had used peacefully for decades. The transmitter was designed to send agricultural reports and trade messages. Now it would carry a cry for help across the galaxy. The machine hummed to life, its power cells glowing bright blue. The underground facility shook as another explosion echoed from above. Time was running out. Ready, Elder, Nira said. Kyle took a deep breath and spoke into the transmitter. His voice would be translated into hundreds of languages and broadcast to every corner of known space. This is Elder Kale Thylos of Viridian Prime. We are under attack by the Krex Empire. Our world is dying. Our people are being taken as slaves. We have never harmed anyone, never threatened any world. We ask for help from any species that values life and freedom. He paused, listening to another explosion. This one was closer. We know that most who hear this message cannot help us. The Krex are too strong, too cruel. But if there is anyone out there, anyone at all who can aid us, please come. We have little time left. The building shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. We are sending our coordinates and all information about the Krex fleet. If you cannot save us, perhaps you can warn others. Perhaps our deaths can have meaning. Kale's voice grew stronger. To any who hear this, remember that Viridian Prime was a world of peace. Remember that we grew food to feed the hungry, art to inspire the soul, and children to carry hope into the future. Remember that we lived and that we died free. He ended the transmission and began the upload sequence. Star charts, tactical information, population data, everything that might help someone, somewhere, understand what was happening here. The transmitter sent the message in all directions, pushing it through subspace to reach the furthest corners of the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, in hundreds of species' languages, the plea would arrive. Most would delete it unheard. Some would listen but turn away. A few might feel sadness but do nothing. But somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, someone might answer. It's done. Nira said quietly. Above them, the explosions were getting closer. Soon the Kreks would break through their hiding place. Kael and Nira sat in the blue glow of the transmitter, holding hands as their world burned above them. "Do you think anyone will come?" Nira asked. Kael squeezed her hand. "I don't know. But we did what we could. We called for help. Now we wait." In the depths of space, the message raced outward at faster-than-light speed. It passed dead worlds and busy trade routes, military bases, and peaceful colonies. Most who received it would consider it just another tragedy in a galaxy full of suffering. But in one small corner of space, on a blue-green world called Earth, something different was about to happen. The humans who would receive that message had a reputation throughout the galaxy. They were known as warriors, as conquerors, as the species other civilizations feared most. What the galaxy didn't understand was why they had become so feared. It wasn't because humans loved war. It wasn't because they conquered for pleasure or profit. It was because when someone called for help, humans answered. And when they answered, they brought everything they had. The message from Viridian Prime was about to wake something that the Kreks Empire had never faced before. Something that would cross the galaxy for strangers, fight impossible odds for people they had never met, and die before they would abandon those who needed help. The call for help echoed across the stars. Soon, very soon, the galaxy's most feared species would hear it, and they would come. The message from Viridian Prime arrived at Earth's Deep Space Command Center at 0347 hours. Standard Earth time. Lieutenant Choi Min-ji was working the night shift when her console lit up with an incoming transmission. She almost deleted it automatically. The galaxy sent Earth hundreds of messages every day, most of them complaints or threats. But something about this one made her pause. The signal was weak, desperate, coming from the outer rim where few civilizations dared to venture. She ran it through the translation software and read the first few lines. Her coffee cup hit the floor. "Admiral Hyun to the command center immediately," she announced over the facility's comm system. "Priority Alpha message incoming." Admiral Hyun Tae-min arrived within minutes, still buttoning his uniform jacket. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars. Behind him came his senior staff, Captain Lee Da-yoon, Colonel Park Dong-wook, and Dr. Kim Sun-hee. "What do we have, Lieutenant?" Admiral Hyun asked. "Distress call from Viridian Prime, sir. They're under attack by the Kreks Empire." Choi played the translated message on the main screen. The room fell silent as Elder Kael's voice filled the air. When it ended, no one spoke for a long moment. "Viridian Prime," Dr. Kim said finally. "Agricultural world population about 50 million. They're Thylorians, peaceful species, never been in a war. Their main export is food." "Distance?" Admiral Hyun asked. 47 light years, sir," Captain Lee replied. 4 days at maximum hyperspace speed." Colonel Park pulled up tactical information on his tablet. "The Kreks Empire. We've been tracking their expansion for 5 years. They've taken 12 worlds so far. Always the same pattern. Overwhelming force, mass slavery, total destruction of local culture. And no one stops them," Dr. Kim added. "The Galactic Council makes statements but takes no action. Other species are too afraid to intervene." Admiral Hyun stared at the star chart showing Viridian Prime's location. It was far from Earth, in a region of space where humans rarely traveled. The Thylorians had never contacted Earth before. They were complete strangers. "Sir," Colonel Park said carefully, "this isn't our fight. Viridian Prime has no strategic value to Earth. We have no trade agreements with them, no mutual defense treaties. Getting involved would mean going to war with the Kreks Empire." "And for what?" Captain Lee asked. "To save people we've never met on a world we've never seen." The room was quiet again. Everyone knew the colonel and captain were right. Earth's military existed to protect human worlds and interests. They had no obligation to help strangers on the other side of the galaxy. But Admiral Hyun kept thinking about the message, the desperation in Elder Kael's voice, the quiet dignity of a leader watching his world die. "Dr. Kim," he said, "tell me about the Thylorians." Kim pulled up files on her computer. "Mammalian species, similar to Earth foxes but larger and bipedal. They've had spaceflight for about 200 years but never developed military technology. Their society is based on agriculture and art. They're known throughout the galaxy for their skill at growing food in harsh environments." "Any history of aggression?" "None, sir. They've never been involved in a war, never threatened any other species. They mostly keep to themselves and sell food to worlds that need it. So they're innocent, Admiral Hyun said. As innocent as any species can be in this galaxy, Kim replied. Colonel Park leaned forward. Sir, I understand the emotional appeal, but we need to think strategically. If we attack the Kreks, other aggressive species might see it as a threat. We could end up fighting multiple wars. Or, Captain Lee said quietly, they might remember why the galaxy fears us in the first place. All eyes turned to her. Lee was known for her tactical brilliance and her cold logic in battle. If she was considering this mission, it meant she saw something the others missed. Explain, Captain, Admiral Hyun said. Lee stood and walked to the star chart. For 20 years, we've maintained peace through strength. The galaxy knows that humans are dangerous, so they leave us alone. But they've forgotten exactly why we're dangerous. She pointed to the outer rim. Most species think we're just another aggressive, warlike race. They think we fight for conquest, for resources, for power. They're wrong. Then why do we fight? Colonel Park asked. We fight because we can't stand by and watch innocents suffer. We fight because someone has to. We fight because it's right. Lee's voice grew stronger. The galaxy fears us, but they don't understand us. Maybe it's time they learned the difference. Dr. Kim was reading through more files. Sir, I'm seeing something interesting in the psychological profiles. Thylorians form strong family bonds, create art for emotional expression, and show high levels of empathy. In many ways, they're similar to humans. You think we'll bond with them? Admiral Hyun asked. I think if humans met Thylorians under normal circumstances, we'd be natural allies. They value the same things we do, family, creativity, helping others. Colonel Park shook his head. Even if that's true, the distance alone makes this mission almost impossible. We'd have to take half the fleet to have any chance against the Kreks. That leaves Earth vulnerable. Does it? Captain Lee asked. Or does it send a message to every hostile species in the galaxy? That humanity will cross any distance, fight any enemy, to protect innocence? Admiral Hyun thought about Earth's history. Humans had always been at their best when helping others. When natural disasters struck, humans rushed to help. When tyrants threatened the innocent, humans stood up to fight. It was what made them human. The Kreks Empire has taken 12 worlds, he said slowly, enslaved millions of people, destroyed entire civilizations, and the galaxy does nothing because they're afraid. Yes, sir, Colonel Park replied, but we're not afraid of them. No, sir, we're not. Admiral Hyun made his decision. Dr. Kim, I want everything we have on Kreks tactics and technology. Colonel Park, begin planning for a long-range rescue operation. Captain Lee, start selecting ships and crews. Sir? Lieutenant Choi asked. Are we really going to help them? Admiral Hyun looked at the message from Viridian Prime, still displayed on the main screen. Lieutenant, a peaceful species sent a plea for help across the galaxy. They asked for aid from anyone who values life and freedom. He stood and straightened his uniform. I'd say that describes humanity perfectly. Captain Lee smiled. Not the cold smile she wore in battle, but something warmer. What do we call this mission, sir? Operation Shepherd's Crook, Admiral Hyun replied. We're going to remind the galaxy what shepherds do when wolves attack the flock. Within hours, Earth's military machine began moving. Ships were prepared, troops were briefed, supplies were loaded. Word spread through the fleet that they were going to war not for Earth, not for resources, not for conquest. They were going to war for strangers who had asked for help. The massive Earth Defense Fleet shipyard buzzed with activity unlike anything seen in years. Commander Oh Jin-woo watched from the observation deck as hundreds of technicians swarmed over the assembled ships like busy insects. The fleet heading to Viridian Prime would be the largest human force ever deployed outside their home system. 63 ships, Chief Engineer Yoon Hai-won reported, joining Oh at the window. 27 warships, 15 troop carriers, 12 supply vessels, and 9 hospital ships. Hospital ships? Oh asked. We're planning to get hurt that badly? Not for us, Yoon replied. Admiral's orders. We bring enough medical supplies to treat everyone on Viridian Prime if needed. Humans, Thylorians, even Kreks prisoners. Oh nodded. It was typical human thinking. Plan for war, but also plan to heal everyone afterward. He watched as workers loaded the cargo ships with food, medicine, construction equipment, and temporary shelters. They were bringing everything needed to rebuild a world. Lieutenant Choi Min-ji hurried up to them, carrying a tablet full of data. Commander, I've established contact with Viridian Prime. There's a Thylorian scientist named Dr. Nira Voss still operating from a hidden facility. What's the situation down there? Bad, sir? The Kreks have taken control of all major cities and about 60% of the planet. They're loading prisoners onto transport ships, mostly young, healthy adults. The elderly and children are being left behind with minimal food supplies. O's jaw tightened. The Krek strategy was well known but still horrifying. Take the useful slaves, let the rest die slowly. It was efficient and cruel. Dr. Voss says the Thylorians can't believe we're actually coming, Choi continued. They've been listening to Galactic communications for days. Everyone knows about the Kreks attack, but no one is helping. What are they saying about us? Choi looked uncomfortable. Some are grateful, but many are afraid. They've heard the stories about humans in battle. They think we might be worse than the Kreks. In the ship's main briefing room, Dr. Kim Sun-hee was explaining Thylorian culture to a group of officers. The room was packed with captains, marines, medics, and engineers. Everyone who would be dealing directly with the aliens they were going to save. Thylorians are pack animals, like humans, Kim explained, showing pictures on the main screen. But their packs are larger, usually 20 to 30 individuals living together as an extended family. They make decisions by consensus and rarely fight among themselves. Major Kang Bo-ram raised her hand. Doctor, how do they handle authority? Will they follow orders in an emergency? They respect age and wisdom over rank or strength. Elder Kale, who sent the distress message, probably has more real authority than any general or president. They'll listen to him. What about their technology? Asked Captain Lim Jae-ho. Advanced in some areas, primitive in others. They can grow food that adapts to any climate, build cities that work with natural systems instead of against them. But their weapons technology is centuries behind ours. They never needed to develop it. The pictures on the screen showed Thylorian cities that looked more like gardens than buildings. Structures grew from living trees with walkways that curved gently between homes. Everything was designed to work with nature instead of conquering it. They're artists, Kim continued. Every Thylorian learns at least one creative skill. Music, painting, storytelling, sculpture. Their entire culture is built around creating beauty and sharing it with others. Sergeant Park Yoon-seo spoke up from the back. They sound too good to be true. What's their dark side? As far as we can tell, they don't have one, Kim replied. At least not the way humans understand it. They've never had a war, never committed genocide, never enslaved another species. The worst thing they do is argue about art. The room fell silent. Most of the humans present had seen war, had fought against pirates and raiders and aggressive alien species. The idea of a truly peaceful civilization was almost impossible to believe. That's why we have to save them, Kim said quietly. They represent something the galaxy has lost. Pure goodness. If the Kreks destroy them, we lose proof that peace is possible. Across the shipyard, Dr. Song Woo-jin was training medical teams for battlefield conditions. His field hospital simulator was running scenarios of mass casualties, alien biology, and working under fire. Remember, he told his staff, Thylorian blood is blue, but it carries oxygen the same way ours does. Their heart rate is faster than humans. Their body temperature is lower. They respond well to most of our medicines but avoid stimulants. Their nervous system is more sensitive. What about the Kreks? Asked one of the medics. We treat them too, Song replied firmly. Enemy wounded get the same care as our own people and the Thylorians. That's what makes us human. A young medic looked confused. Sir, why would we help the people who are enslaving an entire planet? Song was quiet for a moment. Because if we only help people we like, we're not really helping anyone. We're just choosing sides. Humans don't choose sides. We choose what's right. In the intelligence section, analysts were studying everything they could find about Krek's military tactics. The enemy was strong but predictable. They relied on overwhelming force and intimidation, expecting their victims to surrender quickly. They've never fought humans before, noted the chief analyst. They don't know about our pack bonding, our refusal to abandon civilians, our ability to fight in small units without central command. Captain Lee Da-eun reviewed the tactical plans. The human approach would be different from anything the Kreks expected. Instead of a single massive battle, Earth forces would strike in dozens of places at once, protecting civilians while dismantling the enemy war machine piece by piece. The Kreks think like conquerors, she explained to her staff. They're trying to control territory and capture resources. We're thinking like protectors, Our only goal is to keep innocent people safe, Lieutenant. Choi received another message from Dr. Voss on Viridian. Prime, the hidden Thylorian scientist, had managed to gather intelligence on Krek's positions and civilian locations. Commander O, she reported. Dr. Voss wants to know what we'll want in return for our help. She's asking about trade agreements, territorial rights, military bases. O almost smiled. Tell her we don't want anything except for her people to be safe. She won't believe that. Sir? Then tell her she'll understand when we get there. As the fleet prepared to depart, news of the mission spread throughout human space. The reaction was exactly what Admiral Hyun expected. Overwhelming support from human civilians and confusion from alien diplomats. The Galactic Council sent a formal protest, claiming that human intervention in the Viridian Prime situation would destabilize the region. Several alien species warned that attacking the Krek's empire could lead to wider war. Admiral Hyun's response was broadcast throughout the galaxy. We are not attacking the Krek's empire. We are defending innocent people who asked for help. Any species that has a problem with that can explain their position to the survivors of Viridian Prime. Chief Engineer Yoon made final checks on the fleet's hyperspace engines. The journey to Viridian Prime would take 4 days at maximum speed, assuming the engines held together under the stress. They were pushing the technology to its limits. Are we really doing this? Yoon asked Commander O as they watched the final preparations. Looks like it, O replied. 47 light-years to help complete strangers. Yes. Who might not even want our help. Probably. Yoon was quiet for a moment. You know what the crazy part is? This feels more right than anything we've done in years. O nodded. For too long, Earth's military had focused on defense, on protecting what they already had. Now they were remembering what they were really meant to do. Stand between innocent people and the darkness that threatened them. The fleet was ready. 63 ships carrying the best of humanity toward a world they had never seen, to save people they had never met because someone had asked for help. In a few hours, they would discover if 47 light-years was too far to matter, or exactly the right distance to prove that no one was ever too far away for help to come. The human defense fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Viridian system, like ghosts materializing from the void. Captain Lim Jae-ho's stealth ships had arrived first, their advanced cloaking systems hiding them from Krek sensors as they mapped enemy positions. 67 Krek's vessels in the system, Lim reported to Admiral Hyun over encrypted communications. 43 in orbit around Viridian Prime, 24 patrolling the outer system. They have 3 massive troop transports loaded with prisoners. Admiral Hyun studied the tactical display from the bridge of his flagship. The Kreks had positioned themselves exactly as expected. Overwhelming force concentrated around their target, with little concern for defense. They had never fought an enemy that could reach them at this distance. Any sign they've detected us? Admiral Hyun asked. Negative, sir. They're running standard patrols, no heightened alert status. I don't think they believe anyone would actually come this far to help the Thylorians. Dr. Song Woo-jin monitored communications from the planet's surface. Through Dr. Voss's hidden transmitter, they could hear the desperate situation below. The Kreks were systematically loading Thylorians onto transport ships, taking the young and healthy while leaving the rest to starve. Admiral, Song reported, I'm picking up medical emergencies planetside. The Kreks have been limiting food and water to the civilian population. We have maybe hours before people start dying from dehydration. The main fleet began moving into the system, still hidden behind Lim's stealth technology. Sergeant Park Yun-seo checked her gear one final time. Her Marines would be the first humans to set foot on Viridian Prime, the first to make contact with the Thylorians they had traveled so far to save. Remember, she told her squad, these people have never seen humans before. They're probably terrified. Half the galaxy thinks we're monsters. Move slow, keep your weapons lowered, and let them see our faces. Captain Lee Da-eun commanded the main attack group from her destroyer. Her ships were positioned to strike the Krek's orbital forces while protecting the prisoner transports. The enemy had to be defeated, but the real victory would be measured in Thylorian lives saved. All ships, this is Admiral Hyun, came the voice over the fleet communications. We are about to announce our presence to the Krek's empire. Remember what we came here to do. We are not conquerors. We are protectors. Humanity's reputation depends on how we handle the next few hours. The human fleet decloaked simultaneously, appearing around Viridian Prime like avenging angels. 63 ships materialized from empty space, their weapons powered but not yet aimed. The effect on the Krex was immediate and dramatic. Krex vessel, this is Admiral Hyun Taemin of the Earth Defense Fleet. The Admiral broadcast on all frequencies. You're attacking an innocent world and enslaving its people. You have 1 standard hour to begin releasing all prisoners and withdrawing your forces. This is your only warning. The response from the Krex commander came quickly, filled with disbelief and anger. Humans, what are you doing here? This world is 47 light years from your territory. These aliens mean nothing to you. They asked for help. Admiral Hyun replied simply. We came. Impossible. No species travels that far for strangers. What do you really want? What is your price for leaving us alone? There is no price. Release the prisoners and withdraw, or we will remove you by force. The Krex commander's laughter echoed across the communications channel. You cannot be serious. We have 67 ships, you have. What, 63? Even if you win, the cost will be enormous. For what? For aliens you have never met? Admiral Hyun's voice remained calm. You have 59 minutes remaining. On the surface of Viridian Prime, Dr. Nira Voss couldn't believe what she was hearing. The impossible had happened. Someone had answered their call for help. And not just anyone, but the humans, the species the galaxy feared most. Elder Kale, she called to the old Thylorian who sat quietly in the corner of their hidden shelter. The humans are here. They're actually here. Elder Kale raised his head, his eyes bright with hope and fear. What do they want from us? Nothing, according to their admiral. They say they came because we asked for help. That cannot be true. No one does anything without a price. Above the planet, the standoff continued. The Krex commander was consulting with his officers, clearly uncertain what to do. The humans had appeared out of nowhere with enough firepower to threaten the entire Krex fleet. Yet they were making demands instead of simply attacking. Corporal Young Seok Ho prepared his evacuation team for deployment. They carried medical supplies, food, and temporary shelters. Everything needed to help Thylorian civilians. His job was to find the people who needed help most and get them to safety. Corporal, Dr. Song briefed him over the radio. Thylorians are smaller than humans, about the size of a large child. They'll be scared, probably malnourished, possibly injured. Treat them gently, but move fast. We don't know how long this ceasefire will last. The Krex fleet began moving into attack formation, their commander having made his decision. Humans, came his voice over the communications. You make impossible demands for worthless aliens. We will show you the price of interfering with the Krex Empire. 54 minutes, Admiral Hyun replied. Captain Shin Ye-jin launched her fighter squadron from the carrier. Her pilots had trained for this moment. Combat in a system full of civilians where every shot had to be precise and every target carefully chosen. The enemy ships were mixed in with transports full of prisoners. One mistake could kill thousands of innocent people. Phoenix Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader, Shin announced. Remember, those transports contain Thylorian civilians. Any pilot who endangers prisoners will answer to me personally. The Krex opened fire first, their heavy weapons targeting the largest human ships. But Captain Lee had anticipated this. Her destroyers scattered like leaves in the wind, their smaller size and superior engines making them almost impossible to target effectively. All ships, weapons free, Admiral Hyun ordered. Protect the transports at all costs. The Battle of Viridian Prime began with a fury that lit up the system. Human ships moved like dancers, striking precisely at Krex weapons and engines while avoiding the crowded transports. Krex vessels returned fire with massive energy cannons, but they were designed for bombardment, not ship-to-ship combat against agile opponents. Sergeant Park's Marines launched from their transport, heading for the planet's surface in armored dropships. Their mission was to secure landing zones and protect Thylorian civilians from any Krex ground forces. 30 seconds to surface contact, reported the pilot. I'm seeing Krex troops in the landing zone. Are there civilians nearby? Park asked. Yes, Sergeant. Large group of Thylorians being held in what looks like a sports stadium. Then we go in quiet. No explosives, no heavy weapons near the civilians. We do this the hard way. The dropship landed in a city park outside the stadium. Park and her Marines moved quickly through streets lined with damaged buildings and abandoned vehicles. They could see Thylorian civilians hiding in doorways and windows, too frightened to come out. Park pulled off her helmet and handed her weapon to one of her soldiers. She approached a building where she could see young Thalorians watching through a broken window. "Hello," she said softly, knowing her words would be translated by her communication device. "My name is Yunseo. We came to help you. You're safe now." The Thalorians stared at her in amazement. They had expected monsters, but this human looked tired and worried, like someone who had traveled a great distance because others needed help. In orbit, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. The Kreks had superior numbers but inferior tactics. They fought like bullies who had never faced real opposition. The humans fought like protectors who would die before allowing harm to come to those they defended. Kreks Commander, Admiral Hyun broadcast, "Your orbital defense network is disabled. Half your fleet is damaged. And my troops are securing civilian areas on the surface. Surrender now and I guarantee fair treatment for your people." The Kreks Commander's reply came through gritted teeth. "This is impossible. You cannot defeat us for people who mean nothing to you." Admiral Hyun's response would be recorded and played throughout the galaxy for years to come. "You're wrong about two things. First, you underestimate what humans will do for innocent people. Second, these people mean everything to us. They asked for help. That makes them family." The Kreks Empire was about to learn why the galaxy feared humanity, not because they were monsters, but because they were capable of crossing impossible distances to stand between evil and innocence. And once they took that stand, nothing in the universe could make them move. The Battle of Viridian Prime reached its peak as Captain Shin Ye-jin led her fighters through the chaos of orbital combat. Her squadron moved between the massive Kreks battleships like tiny fish among whales, their weapons precisely targeting engine systems and weapon arrays. Every shot had to be perfect. One missed target could hit a transport full of Thalorian prisoners. "Phoenix 2, Kreks destroyer moving toward Transport 7, Shin called to her wingman. "Disable their engines before they can ram." "Copy, Phoenix leader. Going in now." Below on the planet's surface, General Nam Kite coordinated the ground assault from his mobile command post. His forces were spread across 3 continents, striking simultaneously at Kreks positions while creating safe corridors for civilian evacuation. What amazed the general was not how well his troops fought, but how much they cared about protecting strangers. Corporal Jung Seok-ho carried a Thalorian child through the rubble of what had once been a beautiful city. The little one reminded him of his nephew back on Earth, scared, confused, clinging to the first adult who offered safety. Around him, other Marines were doing the same thing, rescuing civilians while the battle raged overhead. "Hey there," Jung said softly to the child. "What's your name?" "Kira," the little Thalorian whispered. Her fur was dusty and her clothes were torn, but she was alive. "Kira's a pretty name. I'm Seok-ho. We're going to get you somewhere safe, okay?" The child nodded and held on tighter. Jung had fought in a dozen battles, but nothing had ever felt as important as carrying this one small person to safety. In the stadium where hundreds of Thalorians were being held, Sergeant Park Yun-seo faced off against a squad of Kreks guards. The aliens were larger than humans, with thick armor and powerful energy weapons, but they had made a critical mistake. They had positioned themselves between Park's Marines and innocent civilians. "Last warning," Park called out. "Move away from the prisoners and we'll let you surrender peacefully." The Kreks commander laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the stadium. "Stupid human. We have hostages. You cannot attack us without killing your precious Thalorians." Park smiled grimly. "Who said anything about attacking you?" Her Marines moved with precision that amazed the watching Thalorians. Using stunner weapons and careful positioning, they disabled the Kreks guards without firing a single shot near the civilians. It took longer and was more dangerous, but no innocent people were hurt. "Prisoners are secure," Park reported to General Nam. Beginning evacuation to the safe zone. Above the planet, the space battle was reaching its conclusion. The Kreks fleet, designed for bombardment and intimidation, was being systematically dismantled by human forces that fought like they had everything to lose. Captain Lee Daeun's destroyers had disabled or destroyed 37 enemy ships, while losing only 2 of their own. But the real victory was happening in the medical bays of the human hospital ships. Dr. Song Woo-jin worked tirelessly to treat wounded Thalorians, his medical teams having received hundreds of civilians suffering from malnutrition, dehydration, and injuries from the occupation. "Doctor," called one of his nurses, "we have Kreks wounded requesting medical attention." "What are your orders?" Song didn't even look up from the Thalorian patient he was treating. Same as always. Treat everyone who needs help. Set up beds in Bay 3. Sir, these are enemy soldiers. They're wounded people, Song replied firmly. We're doctors first, soldiers second. The most confusing moment for the Kreks came when human medical teams began treating their wounded. Dr. Bayek, so young, found herself working on a Krek soldier who had been asking for her death just hours before. Why? The alien asked in confusion. Why help me? We are enemies. Because you're hurt, Beck replied, checking his broken arm, and because someone has to show the galaxy that there's a better way than endless war. The Krek soldier stared at her with something that might have been understanding. He had spent his life believing that strength meant domination, that victory meant destruction of enemies. These humans were showing him something entirely different. On the bridge of the human flagship, Admiral Hyun received a communication from the Krek's fleet commander. General Vextar's image appeared on the main screen, his usually proud bearing defeated. Human Admiral, Vextar said slowly, I do not understand you. We have taken your people prisoner, killed your soldiers, threatened your ships, yet your medical teams offer to treat our wounded. That's what we do, Admiral Hyun replied. We protect those who need protection, and we heal those who need healing. But why? What do you gain from this mercy? Admiral Hyun thought for a moment. We gain the knowledge that we remained human, even in war. We gain the hope that maybe someday the galaxy can be a place where mercy is stronger than fear. General Vextar was quiet for a long time. His fleet was broken, his invasion had failed, and his prisoners had been rescued by an enemy that refused to hate him. Everything he had believed about power and conquest was crumbling. If I surrender my remaining forces, he asked finally, what will happen to my people? Fair treatment, medical care, and transport back to Krek space when the war is over, Admiral Hyun replied. You have my word. Your word means something? Everything. The surrender of the Krek's fleet was broadcast throughout the galaxy. Other species watched in amazement as human ships carefully escorted Krek's vessels to safety. Their crews treated as prisoners of war rather than destroyed enemies. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Elder Kale Thylos emerged from his hidden shelter to find Viridian Prime transformed. Human medical stations had been set up throughout the cities. Human engineers were already working to repair damaged infrastructure. Human soldiers were distributing food and water to anyone who needed it. But what amazed him most was how the humans interacted with his people. They were gentle with children, respectful to elders, and patient with those who were afraid. These were supposed to be the galaxy's most feared warriors, yet they acted more like caretakers than conquerors. Elder, Dr. Nira Voss approached him, accompanied by a human in a medical uniform. This is Dr. Song Woojin. He says his people are here to help us rebuild. What is your price? Elder Kale asked. It was the question that had tormented him since the humans arrived. In his experience, no one did anything without expecting something in return. Dr. Song looked confused by the question. Price? There is no price. You asked for help, so we came. But surely you want something. Trade agreements? Territorial rights? Military bases? We want your people to be safe and happy, Song replied. That's all. Elder Kale stared at the human doctor. I do not understand you. Then let me show you, Song said gently. Come with me to the medical station. See what we're doing for your people. Judge us by our actions, not our reputation. As they walked through the city, Elder Kale saw human soldiers sharing their rations with hungry Thylorians. Human engineers teaching young Thylorians how to repair damaged buildings. Human medics treating everyone who needed help regardless of species. Your people, Elder Kale said to Dr. Song, they are not what the galaxy believes them to be. No, we're not, Song agreed. We're something much more dangerous than monsters. What could be more dangerous than monsters? Song smiled, watching a human marine playing with a group of Thylorian children while their parents received medical treatment. People who believe everyone deserves to be protected, no matter how far away they are or how little they can offer in return. The Battle of Viridian Prime was over. The Kreks were defeated, the Thylorians were safe, and the galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented. A species that crossed impossible distances not to conquer, but to protect. Word of humanity's actions would spread to every corner of known space. But for the humans involved, the real victory was much simpler. They had heard a call for help and they had answered. They had kept their promise to protect innocent people. They had remained human, even in the darkness of war, and that, they knew, was worth crossing any distance, fighting any enemy, and risking everything they had.